all indicting each other, right? That's true. But many of them aren't prosecutors who are charging their political opponents with crimes and then going on cruises and vacations and all of those things. I mean, there's more of that now than there was recently. So I don't know, maybe Nathan Wade is just setting the new standard now. It's just like, I'm going to be a trailblazer. This is just new.
To the two of us.
Do you regret it?
I regret that.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Brought him on after they were already indicting each other.
Begun to overshadow the true issues in the case.
But at some point, once that bond is there, and if democracy is on the line, as has been described, right. Do you say, maybe we pause this until after the case is over? Absolutely,
absolutely. I'll concede that could have been an approach, but when you are in the middle of it, feelings are developing, and
they're like high school kids.
Get to a point to where the feelings are so strong that you start to want to do things that really are none of the public's concern. It wasn't lost upon.
It is our concern, okay? You were getting paid $700,000 to go prosecute Joe Biden's political opponent, and Fanny's been enlisting you as her lover to go do that. So we have a question about whether you are being paid to prosecute by your lover. It is very clearly a matter of public concern. You're a public prosecutor, Nathan.
Two of us that things could bleed over into the case and start to affect it, and so we.
You literally worked on that case. That was your primary reason for being there.
Like decision to do what we did.
Do what we did.
Indict each other.
What do you mean by that?
In terms of protecting the integrity of the case, keeping the rest of the office out of our personal and private lives, and at the point that we decided to discontinue the relationship, we did.
But it's my understanding that the relationship ended not because you were worried about it bleeding over, but you all just had differences of the value of a male and female in a relationship,
yeah,
that kind of thing, that you ultimately started having some heated conversations. But correct me if I'm wrong, was there a point that you all stopped because you said,
our ethics
this is inappropriate,
problem,
this could impact the integrity of the case?
Okay, that's a lot there.
Okay,
so
not really.
We didn't have heated conversations to the extent that we were at odds and arguing about.
She said you were.
Inherent roles of.
Well, you know, I mean, Fonnie said on the witness stand, like, oh, according to Mr. Wade, the only thing a woman can do is make me a sandwich, right? I mean, and she said, she's the one who described it as heated conversation.
She said that, listen, if I made a statement like that, certainly it was in jest.
I'm sure it was.
I respect women.
So just give me a sense of the timeline as far as when the romance actually started and then once it stopped.
Be careful.
So early 2022 to
after
late 2023 is the time frame. What
after
people
the investigation,
don't see
but before the
and
indictment.
don't know is that we continue to have a very close relationship. We are friends.
A Washington Post columnist wrote, what were they thinking? How could two seasoned attorneys embroiled in the prosecution of a former president start a romance and not see this trouble coming a mile away? And so what were you thinking in that moment?
You don't plan to
in love,
to debate.
Really, I have to hover over the
don't plan to
cursor for it to work.
Love. You don't plan to have some relationship in the workplace. That you don't set out to do that, and those things develop organically.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining.
Over time, and the minute we had that sobering moment, we discontinued it.
January 8th, a motion is brought that reveals that there's been this relationship. At that time, the relationship was over, correct? The romantic aspect of the relationship.
Yes,
what was
After
going
the
through
motion
your
was brought
mind
by
on
Ashley
that day when it suddenly becomes, I know you've said before it wasn't a secret, but
well,
now
he got
it
on the
does
phone,
become
man. He started
public.
calling a bunch of attorneys and
Where
started
is the
threatening people.
relevance here?
Well,
how does this in any way affect the prosecution of those charged in the election interference case?
because
So for 25,
because you were being paid by your lover to do that. Now, if you were acting as an independent prosecutor, you would have taken a look at this and said, this case is ridiculous. Sorry, baby, I love you, but I can't bring this case. But you were bringing the case because you were getting paid by your lover, and she was getting a benefit from that, going on all of these cruises. And it's a lot of money in a pretty big case. And you were billing a lot of hours. You were billing 24 hours in a day, not even a single pee break. And you went to go meet with the White House. You had $35,000 a month coming into your pocket. So people have concerns about how all of that might implicate your endeavor for justice.
5 days, we didn't hear from you or District Attorney Willis. Why not come forward? At that point, you're a public servant, right? Getting paid from the state of Georgia. Why not say, okay, we'll make a statement, we'll get on top of this, we'll get ahead of this?
Let me say this. My conversation here with you today is just that. It's Nathan's conversation. I do not speak for the district attorney's office. I do not speak for their position. As a matter of fact, I'm certain that they would rather me not be having this exchange with you.
So you said you didn't want to violate the public's trust. I'm curious, do you think that you've done any kind of damage to this case?
None at all.
None.
None at all.
Even the public perception
I think
of
he believes that. I think he genuinely believes that. So does Fanny, too. You saw her earlier speaking. Okay, I'm totally exonerated. I did nothing wrong. So that undermines, I think, her credibility in all of her affairs. And my question is, where else is she committing outright fraud? Where else is she being dishonest on her disclosure forms? Who else is she sleeping with that we haven't found out about yet?
My private life became the focal point of the case. My private life has nothing to do with the merits of that prosecution.
Sure.
Donald Trump now
What's your name?
The whole thing was birthed out of your disgusting affair.
Trying to get
You worked here before?
decision
Yeah,
overruled. We'll find out in a week or so if Fani Willis gets to stay on the case. Do you feel, as we sit here today, that this case is in jeopardy?
Because that issue is before the Court of Appeals currently, my goal is to protect the integrity of the process. I don't want to say anything that's going to jeopardize.
Then you shouldn't have given an interview.
You know, Nathan Wade does not feel that the case is in any way in jeopardy.
So you didn't realize when you took the case, your life was really...
He just got proven wrong on that. The Court of Appeals says, we're actually going to look at this because there is something here.
Going to be under a microscope.
Wrong on that.
I did not realize that my life would be in danger. The microscope, I don't have a problem with.
You're just like the rest of us on the outside looking in.
No.
I'm curious if you think that Donald Trump will be
get done just like you.
I believe and stand behind.
I think all we have to do is just the food safety stuff. Because I'm just looking right now, just checking everything. Looks like you've already taken care of
I believe that
electronic paperwork I sent you. I'm just going over it real quick. Did you bring your ID and stuff?
That day of reckoning,
I'll scan that real quick. Good, thank you.
Fulton County jury there in Fulton County, Georgia, will have to make that decision.
What do you think is the greatest misconception about you?
Issue surrounding my divorce. It's a difficult
Did
thing
you not
to watch
tell your kids that you're cutting them off?
To hear, watch and listen to your life play out before the American public.
Did your lover not threaten your ex-wife?
Ultimately, as we sit here today, do you feel you've done anything wrong?
No.
Oh, wow. I don't feel as though I've done anything wrong.
No, of course not,
I feel like I have been, I guess, in my silence, I've been treated a bit unfairly, a bit harshly.
What's next for you?
Wild.
Wow.
Get back to practice, probably write a book.
I love the dynamics of the courtroom.
I might run for office.
But I'm also a people person. I enjoy people.
Also doing
and right now,
I'm
think
listening to
just
some class on a
incumbent
Zoom
upon me
call,
to
so if I talk
unplug,
to my
get away
computer, I'm
from
not
all of it
crazy.
until I can clear
Spend your
my mind
700
and
grand or
make some
what?
rational decisions about
Why don't you go on a cruise,
the
Nathan?
next steps.
Go back to Belize. Yeah, go back to Belize. Okay, so that guy, okay, has sworn an oath as a prosecutor, special counsel, has a law license, has agreed to adhere to all sorts of ethical rules, has prosecuted other people who've committed crimes less serious than his, never lied to a judge to their face. He did all of it, and then sits there, and he's so deluded and maladjusted in his brain that he says he's done nothing wrong.
And I
That's
didn't realize we
that's
had
the
an
kind
old
of
file
person we're
for
dealing
you.
with. In a prosecutor.
We did all those
Sure,
forms on a new
but
file.
he is a prosecutor, and he gets to prosecute people. Okay, that's what's same. I would say that is pretty indicative of Fanny's behavior and her mentality, and that permeates the entire Fulton County.
Everything's different, so
that's the type of justice system we are now living in. Wild times. So this is some follow-up from Phil Holloway, who does awesome work. Of course, he's on YouTube, he's on X, and he does great analysis. And he is from Georgia, and he posted this. He, of course, sharing the order with everybody, but he's also saying here, what happens next in Georgia? He says, all right, next comes briefing by the parties to be followed by oral argument sometime this summer. Right, so we'll get the notice of appeal, then we'll get the briefs, the appellate memos, those will go in, then we'll get oral arguments, so sometime this summer. Then we're going to be having this heard by a 3-judge panel, so 2 votes would be needed to reverse the trial court. And whatever the Court of Appeals rules on can be appealed by the losing party, and so boom, this case is effectively dead in the water for a while. And I think that is probably also inclusive of all of the other filings. Remember, we've been kind of watching some activity now because we didn't know that this was going to be accepted on appeal. But now that it has, I think everything else has to stop, right? Judge McAfee can't just say, well, we're going to continue to work through discovery and we'll also deal with that issue and that issue. No, because if Fanny goes, the whole case might go, right? You might have a fatal flaw in the whole matter. So big day. Fannie Willis has to just be terribly upset because her corruption has led her here. And Nathan Wade also, maybe he'll say we're being victimized by the Court of Appeals as well. So, of course, we're going to be here continuing to cover this, my friends. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching.
Where were you? Were you at this building or were you over at
the next one? All right, my friends. So we made a segment out of that one. And so let's see what you say about that. We'll post that on the tubes.
I know most of the needs are over on Telegraph. Whenever they have
Let's
been calling for people.
What you guys say about that, man. That was.
We'll get you ready. As soon as they call for people, we'll be able to call you and get you out there.
Never did anything wrong.
Just make sure everything looks good.
It'd be kind of weird to live your life like that, right?
Scan this real quick and we'll go from there.
Self-reflection, no ability to identify when you were wrong and correct your behavior. Strange behavior. Hey, what's up? Hot Mama sharing a link. Kathy Hochul. We played that one from Spuds. Let's see what this one from Hot Mama looks like. Let's see what this one says. Here's one. It says, yeah, illegals can vote.
No expiration date.
Here we have some conversation about this. It says it's like 14 states, DC voters can cast a ballot in person on election day without showing ID. These states have non-documentary ID requirements, meaning voters verify their identity by signing an affidavit or poll book or by providing personal information. And so, yeah, it's a strange situation. I don't know exactly what the rules are everywhere, but a lot of differing opinions on how that is all unfolding. What's up, Crash? Says, Rob, I watched some of the CNN debrief yesterday of the Stormy Daniels pounding. Says all the usual suspects were present and waiting to spew their acidic and acrid, bitterly pungent, irritating to the eyes and nose vomit. One lawyer actually asserted that Stormy was credible and proved that the hanky-panky occurred. Notably absent from their collective, smelly toilet bowl hair, was any mention that President Trump might have actually paid her off because it was simply the easiest and the most cost-effective option, notwithstanding any alleged hanky-panky. Yeah, like, to be honest, $100,000 or $130,000 or $500,000 sounds like a lot, but it is the cost of doing business when you're a billionaire and you're in the middle of an election. So I totally agree with that. It's his wife, it's his reputation. It would cause a lot of problems. So you just pay to make it go away. And if it's all legal, and it is, what's the problem? Elliot says, and it doesn't mean you had an affair, right? You don't actually have to do the thing. But Trump does, you know, cost-benefit analysis. He says, okay, yeah, I do have her phone number. We did have some texts, right? She did show up here. We did talk about this. So she can say that those things happen. So I'm just going to pay her, go away. And it's a lot cheaper than having her go out there and, you know, make up a fake story that you're going to have to defend anyways. So Elliot says, is it a coincidence that the appellate court allowed the interlocutory appeal right after Sir Bill DeLotte's interview and the DA's campaign event? Yeah, it's a good question. That's a good point, Elliot. Like, they're both getting a little bit too big, you know, for their britches, so to speak. So they're out there, and the Court of Appeal says, okay, you're going to keep doing this crap? Come on up. I think they're digging themselves in. You know, they're not going anywhere. But we'll see what the Court of Appeals does. Either way, I think it is basically dead. Flash says, Rob, thanks for the link yesterday. You got it, Flash. I remember this session. What I shared is what's happening during hearings now. Yeah, what I was sharing was just sort of a reminder on the backdrop to all of this stuff. Yeah, like, yes, I know it's a mess right now, and there was a wild exchange in Georgia. I don't think I had that one queued up today, but there was a wild exchange in Georgia. Let me see if you shared it. It says, what was discovered, so the first is a hearing of Harrison Floyd's RICO case, where the system is used to verify the signatures between a ballot in the registry system and what is on the ballot is verified. What was discovered in the hearing is that the system was not used with 860,000 voters, and the verification was totally skipped. This is the Fannie Willis case. Now, the second, and I remember that exchange. Now, the second video I shared was happening yesterday in Georgia between the voters on the X platform. Don GP4037 has been capturing this. Here is one video. And let's see what this one looks like. I've been seeing some of these videos, and I'm not seeing a link to this guy right now. But here, I might have it bookmarked. So let me check my links. Because I think you're talking about maybe this one. We got two clips here, I believe. Let me share this one. So there was an election board hearing. Harrison Floyd shared this one this morning. Says she lied. This is not the first time that Fulton County. Oh, this is from Tony. Let's see when this one came out. Yeah. This lady.
Does
Johnson.
The investigation confirm that there are missing ballot images?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know why 380,761 ballot images from election day
slide over the gray table here. We'll do this portion.
We subpoenaed Fulton County for all of their ballot images. We received approximately.
Again, the handbook, that's the number that you want to text from now on, okay?
Ballot images.
Not the 738
from election day.
number. Okay, that goes right into our system.
Those are from the recount.
It goes over all the good stuff you need to know, the phone number,
ballot
to call off.
images
You text off now, you don't have
for
to call off. You just text if you're not going to do anything.
380,761 ballots from election
This
day.
here, what they keep on file for the Food and Drug Administration. First page, all you have to do is
What
print,
was
sign, and
subpoenaed
initial,
was
just the
the
top
ballot
line
images for the
there.
recount because that's what.
This page here is just an acknowledgement that you've received a
Not
copy
the
of that.
election
You're
day.
going to follow the rules. So they're here, where it's employee.
Does Fulton
print, sign,
County
and date.
know why there are
Type at the
not
bottom here where it says training.
380,761
Read these rules,
ballot
sign, date, and
images
initials.
from
Once again, I do
election
the
day?
bottom here where it says training, and then there's the questions, okay? If you can't find the answers in there, just ask me.
All right, so I'm not sure what that clip is. This one I think is the better one. So this one is where she's giving us some analysis. So I don't know where she's getting that 300 number
The
from.
facts tell the story that a county's negligent conduct of an election and reveals the reality of how difficult it is to have one's grievances addressed in a timely manner, if at all. But this complaint, especially coupled with the full hand count audit complaint by the same complainants, suggests election conduct that is unacceptable. And the state election board should address each complaint and then consider the appropriate action. First, the problem with election day count and the failure to properly secure, protect, and document the safety and authenticity of the votes from 10 advanced voting locations is appalling, Record keeping is abysmal. Proper documentation to ensure the public that votes or ballot boxes have not been tampered with is shamefully poor.
Yeah, all right, so I'll share this link, and if you want to watch the rest of that, it is pretty shocking. So I'll share that right here, Flash, for you, and I'll share that with our YouTube friends, so you guys can check that out to watch the rest of that one. Elliot says, as I've mentioned before, I think that the monthly cap was 30 grand, 120 by 250, but he billed more than 35 grand in October 2023. We haven't seen documentation approving more than 120 hours a month as required by the contract. So it's like 30 grand a month, not 35, but he did bill 35. Well, they needed to go somewhere, man. They needed to get out there. Fanny's like, well, I'd really like to get the bigger cabin. He's like, but baby, it's like 5 grand more. It's like a lot. It's like 5 grand. She's like, well, I really want it. He's like, all right, fine. Hold on a second. Goes into his invoice. Gets it. Perfect. No problem. She says, perfect. Thank you for that. Here, I'll Venmo it right over. 816. I'm a poll worker in Missouri, and they have to show ID or voter ID card for government. Interesting. Yeah, so Missouri reporting in. ID is required in Missouri. I saw a comment on that one. Amuse is in the house from Matt Peak Rock. Amuse says, yeah, here you go. Breaking. Recommendations from the Georgia State Election Board. Yeah, I retweeted that one. Says that might require the state to decertify the election victory there. The board is also recommending that the outside election monitors be installed to run Fulton County's 2024 presidential election. So I guess that's an official recommendation, which is just
that the Secretary of State initiated an independent investigation of the authenticity of the ballots from 10 advanced voting scanners, or expunge the votes from those scanners for the record. Knowing these inconsistencies and irregularities and being responsible for providing oversight of the supervisor in the conduct of the election, I'm concerned about the anyone that would have signed to certify that election. And finally, we recommend that we refer it to the Attorney General for immediate review of this case and recommend a monitor team to provide investigative oversight of Fulton County elections for 2024.
Wow. All right, so it's a total joke, and it's bad. Like, we read that Amy Totenberg opinion, the one that I linked to Flash yesterday, and it was bad. So it looks like it just continues to get even worse. And we got, excuse me, we got some beautiful and amazing comments this morning. What's going on? We got Carrie B clipping for us. Thank you, Carrie B, and I saw your email. Good morning to you. Carrie B's clipping for us. Has Glocky in the house. Glocky says, the final chapter of the American collapse is being played on the stage for all to see. While Rome burned, Republicans fiddled. And this is about, looks like a link, crime goes up for citizens. And I guess here's the link from DC Drano. It says, can't believe this is real. In Denver, illegal aliens now get 6 months of housing. Cops were defunded, $8 million, so the government could pay for this. Crime goes up, gets worse. Illegals can now dial 211 and can be put into someone's home for free. And that host gets their food and utility bills paid for by a nonprofit. Wild, wild times. Glocky shared this one talking about gun safety. It says, how to talk to your cat about gun safety so that they're prepared. Get your cat prepared, right? The American Association of Patriots presents, how do you talk to your cat about gun safety? You don't want them to accidentally, eliminate themselves. Abstinence, drugs, Satanism, and other dangers that threaten their 9 lives. Teach them to protect themselves. So, we love our furry friends. Glocky's here, says the first rule of gun safety is to have fun. Which I don't think is actually the first rule, depending on how you were trained. Glocky says Ireland, especially Northern Ireland, is on the verge of exploding because of the immigration crisis. It is a powder keg. No one's paying attention to what is about to happen there. When it pops off, it's going to make their 40-year war with the British look like a picnic. Did I share this story? Did I clip this one? There was one story about, I don't think I pulled it up. There was one story about some, I think, German politician who posted something online about how 50% of the R's that were happening in Germany or whatever country it was were done by immigrants. So like half the crimes, half the R's, half the assaults, all done by immigrants. If you got charged with a crime, like fine like $5 grand. Like, how dare you point out statistics? It's crazy. Crazy times out there in Europe. Good to see you, Glocky. Johnny Boy says, what's up? Sour Cream Pierre says, it's very clear. Sour Cream, oh gosh. Says, everyone in the chat. And what are you doing about it? Sour Cream Pierre, calling it out. Everyone in the chat. What the? It's a good recap there. Johnny Boy in the house. Yeah. She's spinning in circles. It's what she does. Doesn't answer anything and calls herself historic in the meanwhile. What's up? Glocky shared this one. It's a story. It says White House spokesperson Karine Jean ends her relationship with her partner. Oh no. It says, I'm sorry how it was not a bigger story that a top CNN anchor was literally in bed with Biden's spin master. Oh, it was a CNN anchor. You're kidding me. I didn't even know that. So she was in a relationship with a CNN anchor. So Biden's spokesperson sleeping with someone on CNN. Well, at least they were official about it. I'm sure everyone else. I'm sure everyone else, appreciates that. Hey, this one from Glocky. This is from a Die Hard. Remember Die Hard? This is Bruce Willis. He's on the street. On the street. He has a sign in Compton saying computer. And all the black kids walk up to him. They're like, what is that? What is this? Tell us about this mystical new word. We're not familiar. Jinx, says Spuds. Rob, I just mentioned it before you did. GMTA. Great minds think alike. What were we on the same line on there, Spuds? Did I steal your comment? Maybe I stole your comment too. Didn't even credit you? I don't know. What's up, Spuds? Thanks for that. I don't know what we jinxed on. Chubby says, wow, what a shocker. KJP not even trying to answer a direct question and saying she'll have to check back on it straight from the Psaki circle back playbook. Well, she's basically a, store brand version of Jen Psaki. I think she was a little protege, and now she's the historic figure. What's up, Glocky says, roasted pork kebab, breaded with buttermilk cornbread and served with a tomato reduction. I don't know what that is. Is it good? Yeah, I mean... Oh, I get it. Me on MasterChef. I get it. So, like, you didn't actually make these. Okay. You pulled them out of a box and microwaved them, and then you put some ketchup on it. I get it. I get the joke. Took me a minute. I was like, it sounds good. Roasted pork kebab, breaded buttermilk cornbread, served with a tomato reduction. Sounds great. Sounds delicious. It's like, oh, you got a corn deck. It's like, okay, I get it. Funny. Glocky's here. Shares this one. Says, being vegan isn't that bad. All you have here is some lettuce and some wood with some fingernail clippers. Says, here's another one from Glocky. It's amazing the British traveled the world for spices, and this is the best they can come up with. Shout out to our friends in the UK. Is that what they eat over there? With your little white wigs on all the time? Voice of the people, what's up? Question. Would the Arizona trial for Ellis break the diversion agreement with Georgia? Oh, gosh, good question. Yeah, so...
specifically his last name on January 28th when you were working that night?
Yes.
When did you learn his name, if you remember?
I don't remember.
At some point in the past, when he'd been in the bar, for some reason you knew his name, Brian Higgins.
Yes.
And you had testified, I believe, on direct examination that you had seen Brian Higgins with Brian Albert at the waterfall on prior occasions.
Correct.
So, Ms. Gianetti, it's time for lunch. I don't imagine you'll finish in 5 minutes, right?
It won't be too much longer than that, but it's probably good to take a break.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ms. Treyes, I'm now going to come back at 2, and jurors will be one.
Okay.
Jurors, if you would fold and leave your notebooks on the chairs.
And she can't contest that now, right? She can't fight that. She now has to eat that diversion deal because she already read her letter. I'm guilty. I did it all. Signed all the documents. I did it. Crazy. It's a great point. I didn't think about that, voice. Pretty fun. What's up, Glocky? Here's one.
Wrong. Like, if you can't feel that in your gut, in your spirituality, and understand that, feel what in my gut? That there's no injured party. So when we go to court, as you mentioned, there's no injured party that's going to show up. So this doesn't make sense. I guarantee the judge in traffic court will not worry about that. Yeah, but what about you as a man? Do you have a conscience right now that you pulled over another man operating his property and there's no lawsuit, there's no injured party?
Ignorance of the law is no excuse, sir. This has been ruled on over and over again. Just because you presume what you've been told or shown is the absolute truth does not mean it is. To presume that he has to follow what you don't know is ridiculous. Again, the whole point of the Constitution and the whole point of the law of the land is to protect people's right to freedom of movement. If we can't move freely and we can't speak freely, then we're not free. We're enslaved. There's no other way to see it. We didn't contact you. We're not in need of your service or protection at this time. But there's some beliefs and some claims that are being made that in order to move freely on America, we need a whole bunch of papers, please.
I'll explain it one last time. It was just a simple vehicle stop, okay? I just asked for a driver's license, insurance, and registration because the tags on his plate expired for what, 4 years, 5 years? 2019. Hey, when I don't have this uniform on, I'm a lot different person, so, you know.
That's what concerns me, sir. That's what concerns me.
But my job is to enforce the law, so that's all. So.
In early 2024, while driving down the road in Las Vegas near the intersection of Decatur and Flamingo Road, a man named Brian O'Shea was traveling in his personal vehicle. While peacefully going about his day, Mr. O'Shea was pulled over by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for expired tags. As the officers approached his vehicle, Mr. O'Shea called into a live stream being broadcast on a channel called Paul Unslaved, also known as Proper Instruction Motivates People. During this interesting and unique traffic stop, Paul acted as counsel for Mr. O'Shea and began to interact with the officers about issues regarding what is legal, what is lawful, and issues of common law versus statutory law. Now, nothing in this video is to be construed as legal advice. There is and will always be great cost in accessing and operating as a free man in a land controlled by those who want to infringe on that freedom. As Voltaire said, it will always be dangerous to be right when the authorities in control are always so wrong. If you're going to live free, unfortunately, you'll likely suffer the unreasonable and unjust consequences of detaching from an empire built by the self-appointed masters who don't want you to release yourself from your chains.
I mean, of course, I think...
Hold on, Simon.
Okay.
So driver's license, as far as my understanding goes, you know, this is a piece of property that I'm operating.
Okay, so you're on a roadway. You need a driver's license, insurance, and registration. I need those now. Okay?
I mean, if
I don't need to talk to somebody else. I need to talk to a third party.
Brian, he doesn't seem like he cares about rights, freedom, principles along the land.
You're completely out of control.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I've asked you 3 times now. 3 times.
But you're not.
Have I not?
You're completely out of control.
Yeah, you asked, but the presumption is that he has to give it or you're going to do harm.
I'm not doing this with a third party.
You're doing it with me.
Yeah, well, you're being live streamed right now to thousands of people, so you are going to do it.
Driver's license, registration, and insurance.
What makes you think that I need those things?
You have to have those. What makes you think you don't?
This is a piece of property that I'm operating, okay? Now, I don't need any...
You're operating on a public roadway. You need those 3 items. Yep. And here's the problem. If you don't identify yourself, we're going to have to take you to jail. So I'm trying just to go easy with you here, but you're kind of making it difficult.
Wow, he seems like a really nice guy. He's not disingenuous at all. I'm sure he's a really nice, caring, loving, freedom and rights-based guy. He's really faithful, too, I bet.
Driver's license, insurance, registration, please.
Another tyrant.
Handbook.
All right.
All day, every day. Nothing but tyrants, huh?
You seem like a
Smile
real nice
for the camera, tyrant.
Yeah, smile. What's your name?
Right there. Your first name? I don't need to give you my first name.
I know you.
Oh, so he's got to identify, but you don't. Imagine the hypocrisy. You're a servant of the people, but you don't have to identify, but he does. The one you serve and protect. How fascinating.
Badge number, right now.
How fascinatingly hypocritical. Another
Badge number
tyrant, huh?
11799.
You've been drinking today, sir? You've been under the influence of any narcotics?
Driver's license, insurance.
You on any steroids that might throw off your rhythm and your inner space? Yeah, my field experience leads me to believe that this man might be under the influence or something, or maybe just derelict in his duty.
You hear that?
What'd you say? I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to you.
Of course you're not, because you're a coward.
Okay.
Because you're a liar and a coward. You know it and I know it.
I need a driver's license, registration, and insurance, please.
I agree with what he's saying.
I need a driver's license, registration, and insurance, please.
Are you asking or are you demanding through coercion and duress?
I need a driver's
license. Are you
license.
passively aggressively demanding with coercion and duress, or are you asking which can be refused?
Operate a vehicle on a public roadway.
Says who? Would you like to take that to federal court where it's already been dozens of times?
Absolutely. He can do it anytime he wants. So
right. You just have no faith it's going to get done, right? But it's been done dozens of times before, and you people have been put on notice that the roads are for exclusive use of the people, okay? And you cannot license or right in the freedom to travel. It's the first page of the passport. You might want to get back on your duties and obligations as a servant of the people, protecting our rights, not depriving
What
rights
shift
under
was your
common law
preference?
using statute and policy.
I need you to exit the vehicle.
Well, I mean, whenever they request for right now. I don't have an immediate placement. I'm putting together a pool of people, and I want you to pick the shift that you're going to be able to make it to the most often. Second, and I always, if I don't have enough of the people that are waiting for the shift that they are calling for people, I'll start calling people that are asking for the other shift as well. So it's not like if they ask for 10 people on first shift, I don't have 10 people waiting for first shift. I'm going to call you and say, hey, there's an opening on first shift. They're not asking for second right now.
We know
Okay?
you're a coward who's derelict in all your duties. It's written all over you, sir.
All right, sir. Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate it. Good to see you again.
You know
Hopefully we'll get you going soon.
Conditioning, right?
I don't know. Some weeks they want 100 people. Some weeks they make you wait a week and a half. So just keep in touch.
Because another one's coming. Are you ready for it? Slave, coward, servant of your demonic masters. Are you ready for it? You ready to destroy yourself and your whole family and the rest of this land? Another tyrant for a paycheck. Another coward who's not accountable to God or anyone else on this land. Pathetic.
Yeah, that was funny last night, wasn't it? Unindoctrinated.
What are we doing? We're doing like a three-way conversation. Is he like your attorney or something?
Counsel, sir. And you're being live streamed to thousands of viewers right now, so you better be on your best behavior. And you better observe.
Yeah, it was hilarious last night. Listening to Midwest and him talk.
Your driver here needs to have a driver's license.
He's not a driver. He's a free traveler, and he's not under contract with United States Corporation or subsidiaries.
That's what it needs to have. It's not an argument. We are a self-identified state. He has expired registration.
There's no such thing as a stop.
To be able to drive and operate a vehicle on a roadway, or if you're guys
do you want to get into
he just needs
you're not interested in making the facts clear and presently known you're going to deprive rights under color of law.
So this is what we need.
You don't just keep talking.
All you have to do.
Are you going to have a back and forth, or are you just going to ramble?
No, he's not a human being. He's a robot. He's a matrix robot. Another collectivist, fascist, matrix robot.
He has nothing to do with this.
We're going to have a back and forth. Otherwise, you're
I just explained to you that I'm his counsel, sir. Did you not listen? You asked a question you didn't want the answer to.
And
I'm his next his counsel. Are you willing to interact with us peaceably? Are you willing to be co-creative?
I need to talk to you. We are having it.
Sir, are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol today?
You're the reason why we stopped.
You could stop talking,
and let us go. That we need to talk to. I don't have to address to a third party.
You don't have to be accountable anywhere in your life, do you?
Me? Oh, I have a lot of accountability. I mean,
really?
I pay my registration,
the etymology of the word you just used?
My driver's license as well.
Right.
So
I'm sure. You seem like a really responsible, accountable, faithful man. I can really tell by your energy alone. let alone the word you just chose.
That's very nice right there.
Hands in the pocket, sir? Is that a defensive body language position because you're not strong in your position in truth right now? You're using false power and authority to get where you want to go?
I mean, hands in the pocket would be more of a lazy,
No, it's a defensive position because you know you're using coercion, duress, lies and manipulations, and false words and terms to get your way for profit right now. You're not sound in what you're saying and doing. You know it's not true and honorable. You know it's not the law of this land, and you know it's the bane of our existence. We're going to slavery and genocide. We're already there, dummy. When are you going to get real with yourself and the rest of us? When are we going to unite, sir? Do you realize we need to unite right now more than ever? Do you realize that?
I don't need to talk to you.
Okay. You don't need to talk to anyone in your life. I'm sure your wife has the same report of you, your children, your friends, your family. This is what you do everywhere in life, huh? Just bullshit yourself and everyone else and never take accountability for what we're all creating together or separately.
Okay.
It's pathetic. Do what you gotta do, sir. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. Do what you're paid to do. Take rights under color of law, and let's get on with it.
As long as he provides a driver's license, registration, and insurance.
He's not required to provide a servant of the people anything. The fact you believe he is why we're already in slavery and lost our rights and free choice.
I don't know what that has to do with anything other than...
I suspect you don't know much in life, sir, and I'd be willing to love you and care for you and work with you if you were also willing and able.
You what?
I said I suspect you don't know much in life, but I'd be willing to love you and care for you and work with you and create a new outcome for all of us if you were willing and able.
All he has to do is provide the 3 things that we've been asking for.
All he has to do is do what you say, and then you're not going to take his rights and freedom and cause harm to them. You're such a nice guy. What do we owe you beyond the tax dollars? What else do we owe you for all your service here today and protection? You've been so kind and great.
That's all that needs to be.
Right. It's all it needs to be. A false choice. Do what you say or else. That's the bane of our existence in America. So continue with it. Continue with it and see where it gets all of us. I've already accepted my outcome in faith. So keep doing it and see where it gets all of us. You'll have to live it just like I will. I'm prepared. You're not.
Okay. I can't hear everything that you're saying right now, but...
Yeah, and you feel what I'm saying, more importantly, because we're one self on the highest level, and you know I just spoke the fucking truth for all of us. The truth you won't live, that you run and lie about. You run from it and you lie about it. And you laugh and giggle because you know it's all over for you and the rest of us, huh, sir? The rights are gone, the freedom's gone, policy and code runs our lives, and you got a senilic retard up there as the president.
We have law-abiding citizens, and we have people that try to take shortcuts.
Statute, policy, and code is not the law, sir. That's why there's a legal society and a law society. They're mutually exclusive. You don't know the difference.
Fighting to the statutes.
I'm sure you are, and you're enforcing statutes on man and woman. Men and women are not part of corporations. We don't have to follow policy. You do. Enforce them on your buddies, not man and woman who you serve and protect.
It's all about law-abiding citizens.
You don't understand the difference between legal policy and the law of the land. You don't understand the difference. There's a clause in the Constitution, public safety clause. There's dual jurisdiction. Administrative law and constitutional law. One is corporately defined. One is the law of the land under God. You probably wouldn't know it because you're not a godly, faithful man. You probably don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about because you've never lived it. You were born into slavery and indoctrination. You're a child of the lie and a servant of the devil. Let's be real about it. Who'd you vote for to be your daddy? Who you voting for this year to be your daddy? Another egoic narcissist or a senilic retard? Which one? Pick one. More corruption, huh? More circus freak show like experience for all of us. Yeah, it's funny. Let's get a laugh at it. The world we live in. It's a big circus joke freak show at this point, huh?
Is that a yes or a no?
We're waiting for the sergeant anyway.
All right, we'll wait for the sergeant.
Believe it or not, sir, this is the way I show love and care. It's tough love and tough care, right? But it's for all of our own good. We need it now more than ever. We're losing it all, sir. Whether you want to accept it or not.
Shouldn't be too much longer. Had to come from a little ways away.
I appreciate you putting up with my loud voice and obnoxious presentment, and I appreciate you listening to the facts I'm presenting.
Just one last time before my Sergeant gets here, are you going to provide any of that information I asked for?
I'd rather speak to the sergeant.
Okay, no problem. No problem. So at the moment, then, no, you're just waiting for the sergeant.
Waiting for the sergeant.
Okay.
No loss, injury, or harm in this situation. There's no injured party if you go to court. There's no person that I've injured or harmed. I've caused no loss, injury, or harm anymore. So
Sorry, guys.
What's going on right now is just wrong. Like, if you can't feel that in your gut, in your spirituality, and understand that, that there's no injured party. So when we go to court, as you mentioned, there's no injured party that's going to show up. So this doesn't make sense.
I guarantee the judge in traffic court will not worry about that.
Yeah, but what about you as a man? Do you have a conscience right now that you pulled over another man operating his property and there's no loss, there's no injured party?
I have my own personal vehicle, correct?
I don't know.
I do have my own personal vehicle. I have to have insurance, registration, and a valid driver's license. Where do you think you do not have to have those?
What makes you think you need to have those?
Okay. We're just going around and around. You can talk to my sergeant.
Not really. If you can't provide a reason why you think you need those, because you haven't thought about it.
We're just going around and around.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse, sir. This has been ruled on over and over again. Just because you presume what you've been told or shown is the absolute truth does not mean it is. To presume that he has to follow what you don't know is ridiculous. Again, the whole point of the Constitution and the whole point of the law of the land is to protect people's right to freedom of movement. If we can't move freely and we can't speak freely, then we're not free. We're enslaved. There's no other way to see it.
Now they're closing me in on the vehicles now. Like they're worried I'm going to escape or something.
Listen, Brian, at the end of the day, all we can do is have a conversation from a common sense perspective and the facts of the matter about the foundations of law. At the end of the day, they're going to do as they believe to be what their duty is, whether they're correct or not. So at the end of the day, you got to surrender in faith that these men are going to ascertain the facts of the matter and uphold the spirit of the law and understand the difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the statute, policy, and code, right? Which oftentimes is our discrepancy. These beings have discretion. They can do whatever they please if they deem you to not be a direct threat causing loss, injury, and harm to the public. So again, if we want to enforce policy, which at this point is illegitimate, it's been ruled on, they can go ahead and do that, right? You're not interfering with their job as they see it. We're just trying to get everybody right to be accountable to the same standards of what the law of the land is supposed to be on a free land.
When and if your client goes to court, then he'll be able to say all that, and there should be no issue the way you're trying to sound. So
I understand that, sir, but what you need to understand is after the court day comes and the dismissal happens, you are then subject to have to compensate for deprivation of rights under color of law, right? So again, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that honestly, as we know, the court system is there to air grievance. It's a grievous event when we have code enforcement depriving freedom of movement for some belief of public safety when there is nobody on the other side claiming anything. This is absolute fraud.
I don't know why
it's
it's blinking out.
You should know it because I do know it. See, you're a man first and foremost outside of that uniform. So your discretion is going to be what's going to be looked at, right? And just simply saying, well, we have a belief and we've been trained isn't good enough.
Hi, Officer Vecino, Las Vegas Metro.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Well, we're blessed. I think your radio's going off there. We're blessed. I think that we'd be doing a little bit better if the rights of the land were upheld, freedom of movement as such.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, we didn't contact you. We're not in need of your service or protection at this time. But there's some beliefs and some claims that are being made that in order to move freely on America, we need a whole bunch of papers, please.
So you said it,
this is part of the...
No, smile face. You said it, right? I'm just trying to get a rise. That's what this is all about. It's me trying to get a rise. That's all it is. Not willing to go to jail for what's true. You think I want to go to jail when there's no loss, injury, or harm? Smiley faces.
I don't have a smile.
Yeah, we're all just doing this for clicks and views. We're all just doing this because it's fun. We're not doing it because it's fucking true and it's right. And after this, there's nowhere to go with it. I mean, you guys were here for the last 4 years. You know what fascism looks like. You know what tyranny looks like. You know what one world order looks like. So where are we going with this, gentlemen? It's really going to come down to like man to man, you know, uniform aside.
Okay, I'll explain it one last time. It was just a simple vehicle stop, okay? I just asked for a driver's license, insurance, and registration because the tags on his plate expired for what, 4 years, 5 years? 2019. That's all. That's why we
I get that, sir, and he's had multiple interactions since where we've ascertained that we have a freedom and a right to move freely without having impositions imposed upon us, right? Many of which could be a detriment to his livelihood, okay? Because he's on a different path right now with his life. He's an aspiring comedian. He's living in that car. That car is essentially his domicile at this time. So we could argue he has domestic authority to move that property as he sees fit until he is a direct threat to the rest of the public, which I don't believe we have a valid claimant who's stating such. So I appreciate your efforts. I understand why he would be stopped and be contacted. But again, we now have officer discretion, just as the many other officers have, to let him continue on freely until we have a report from the citizenry that he's up to no good. And I believe that that is equitable. I believe that's common sense. And I'm not encouraging anyone to not keep an eye on him while he's in your town or on your land, so to speak, if that's what you feel necessary.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I get what you're saying. My sergeant should be here any minute. And then either you or your client, who I still don't know his name, he can explain it to my sergeant and see where that goes.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yep. While we're waiting for the site.
I think my partner explained it sufficiently, so we're just going to wait for a supervisor to get here, and we're going to take it from here. And if there's anything I can do for you, we're right here on Decatur and Flamingo.
Thank you, sir. You seem to have a good humor about you. You seem to have a pretty peaceful and positive countenance. So I appreciate you being patient with us and seeing where this all goes, right? We mean no harm, right?
No, I appreciate your kind words. That's actually very nice of you, so I thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good, if nothing else, to see a man, if he's going to be in uniform, to at least have a smile on his face, you know, have some light in his eyes, and see the humor in all of this that we call life, right? The day-to-day grind, so to speak.
Hey, you're right. You got to take life one day at a time.
But yeah, I think we're good to go, man. I appreciate you listening and being available and being patient, right? I know this is a rather unorthodox, maybe unconventional interaction.
Oh, yeah, we don't get too many of these, but hey, we appreciate your ability to stay calm and keep your client calm. We appreciate that. So I'm pretty satisfied this will have a satisfactory outcome for all involved.
All right. Appreciate you, sir.
All right. You have a good day, sir.
You as well. Blessings. All right, Brian, you're pretty much going to have to just stay in a faithful space. I mean, I wasn't as calm as I could be, like he said. I mean, we know I have a passion for the truth, and I'm trying to incite or compel these folks, rather, to do what in their heart they know is true and what's right, and to use some common sense and a common ethic and observe the common law. So at this point, you're pretty much going to have to let them make their decision on how they want to go forward, you know, and see where this goes, right?
Right. I appreciate it, man.
Listen, there's nothing I really can do for you. I'm speaking on the truth as I see it. If it works in our favor, then, you know, that we'll let it be that, right? But ultimately, the truth is the truth. What's right is what's right. And what we all think and feel about it really doesn't much matter at this point.
I almost want to ask them, like, you know, is there anything they even disagreed with that you said, you know? Is there anything?
No, they agree with everything I'm saying. They know what I'm saying is true and it's right. They think they have a job and they've been trained to do certain things. And that's where the disconnect happens. Man to man, you've seen it with me and Valdez and others, right? We all know what's up right now.
I think he's here. I think that's his car. Yeah, that's our sergeant right now.
How many police officers are there?
Looks like
Seen 3 or 4? Yeah.
I'll help you out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a sergeant. I told.
It's a good opportunity for them to learn.
They did like that Biden Trump line though. They were cracking up about that. Biden Trump, where he was saying that you got a senile. One guy was senile, the other one.
I did hear I'll do this now.
I mean, stop me where I'm wrong. I know I got a little bit animated, but stop me where I'm wrong, right?
Hey, when I don't have this uniform on, I'm a lot different person. So, you know.
That's what concerns me, sir. That's what concerns me.
But my job is to enforce the law, so that's all. So my sergeant should be up here any second. So.
All right. The bottom line is, despite the resistance that we meet, I believe these men know what's true and correct. I just don't believe they're ready to stand out on it. So they know that what we're doing is true and correct and for their own good, right? This is not against anybody. This is what we need more of as
Absolutely,
Americans.
dude.
So I know they can feel it in their heart. I can tell by their body language and the rest of it, because we're all oneself, man. This is what's being revealed at this time through all these experiences. We're all oneself and we all know one truth. Now we have to live up to it, or we're going to catch a judgment and an outcome we ain't ready for. You're on the right side of history. That's all you got to remember. When you're on the right side of history, that's what you have faith in. You surrender the rest. There's nothing else we could do, man. I really have love for myself and all of these officers as men and for the truth that we're all here to experience.
He enjoyed that joke.
Vertical. Oops.
I think we both looked at each other and smiled.
The sad part is it's not a joke. It's the reality we're living.
Here we go.
Hi, what's your name? Brian. Sergeant Mario, I'm with Metro Police Supervisor, okay? What's going on?
I was pulled over. They asked for license, insurance, and registration. I replied that I'm operating a piece of property and no loss, injury, or harm in any situation. I was told that I might go to court. I was puzzled because if I go to court and there's no injured party, then this situation doesn't seem to make very much sense to me.
Okay. Do you have the keys to the car? Where's the keys at? Can you take them out for me? Just so I can feel a little more comfortable that you're not going to do anything irrational.
Yeah, he's not going to leave, sir. I can assure you he's not going anywhere.
He's not going to take off?
We would just rather not comply with any unlawful orders, whether it's a legal order or not, right? So I don't think he's required to take the keys out. I understand why you might feel a bit uncomfortable. It's a rather unorthodox interaction.
Who am I speaking with over the phone?
I'm his counsel, sir. Next friend.
Okay. Well, here's the bottom line. They pulled you over for a lawful reason in the state of Nevada. Okay, your registration's expired. I know you have your opinion on what is lawful or not, but according to the state of Nevada, it's a lawful traffic stop. They're stopping you for the registration that's being expired. So because of that, you do have to provide your driver's license, registration, and insurance. Are you going to do that?
In my opinion, it's not necessary because there's been no crime committed.
Okay, I know that's how you're feeling, but that's
been ruled on, sir. Right? Just to be fair, that's been ruled on Supreme Court many times. That you cannot impose license, registration, or insurance on a free traveler. Furthermore, that car has become his domicile at this time. He's an aspiring comedian, and he lives in that car. Okay, so we're riding the line between causing loss, injury, and harm for the presumption of creating safety when there's nobody potentially being threatened at this time by his freedom of movement, right? So this is a rights issue.
So that's why when you say it's a lawful pullover, I think the word you mean is it's a legal pullover. It's not lawful.
Here's what I don't want to happen. In the end of this, okay, you're gonna have to come out, okay? And I don't want to, force you out, have to use force and all that stuff. I just want you to comply, okay? Are you going to eventually comply at the end of this?
Well, if I don't comply, you just heard me say that I live in this guy, right? And that word comply. You're gonna potentially cause me like major loss, injury, and harm in a situation.
Well, are you worried about the car being towed or something like that?
Dude, it's everything I have is in here.
Well, I'll be honest. Like from the get-go, that doesn't necessarily mean they were going to tow it. You may have just gotten a simple traffic citation for the expired registration and been on your way.
Well, that's fine, sir. I mean, he's had multiple interactions so far. If you guys want to cite the quote-unquote vehicle, I'm not using that term, but that's the term you folks use. That's his property. That's private property. You could argue it's trust property. So if you folks want to cite that vehicle in quotes as you consider it, nobody's stopping you from filling out the paperwork and putting it on the windshield and then going about your day.
I need his identification, though. Do you have a driver's license?
He's not required to identify if he hasn't committed a crime, and there's no reason to believe he's committing a crime. Traffic code is not a criminal infraction. So you can go ahead and put the proper paperwork as you see fit if you want to write up the charges. Obviously, you have officer discretion. So if you ascertain that he's not under the influence and he's not a direct threat to the public and he's been moving freely for over 5 years, as you said, without causing any loss, injury, or harm to the public, well, then we don't have a safety issue. We have a rights issue. He has to be free to travel.
Okay, and listen, that's something for you guys to debate with the courts, okay? Not on the side of the road.
You can't, but for real, like, to put it off on the courts, we're having a man-to-man interaction here. Like, didn't you hear what he said? Like, there's been no one injured in 5 years. There's no one injured currently right now. And you potentially drag me out of the car?
Because I know that's your belief in what you guys believe in, but...
It's been ruled on, sir. I know you're saying a belief. The municipal corporation holds a belief that is not in line with the law of the land and what's been ruled on.
All right. Like I said, I'm not going to debate this back and forth with you over the phone, though, okay? He was pulled over for a lawful reason. His registration is expired. He needs to provide a driver's license, proof of insurance.
Right, he's pulled over for a legal reason, and he's not part of the legal society, nor is he in contract with that entity. So if you have a belief and you want to act on that belief and fill out the paperwork and present it to him or leave it on the property, nobody is interfering with your ability to conduct your profession as you see fit, enforcing code and policy on a lawful man.
I need him to come out of the car, though.
Why does he need to come out of the car for you to write up paperwork?
He needs to come out of the car at this point, all right? Because this is gone.
Do we have a reason why he needs to subject himself to even more fear and coercion and duress?
The realm that he's obstructing the officer's investigation by not complying, okay?
Well, what is the officer investigating for that would require him to leave the safety of his car?
I'm not going to keep debating with you, but I've told you already a couple times. It's a traffic.
No, I'm asking you for articulable. I'm asking you for reasonable, articulable suspicion, which you are supposed to provide. What are you?
I told you the registration's expired.
Right, so you can go ahead and write up the paperwork for that, and we can move forward, and then he'll have his day at court. Why does he need to leave the safety of his car for you to finish what you've already initiated and started?
Because at this point, he's going to be under arrest.
Okay, so then you were just lying.
Are you going to peacefully comply? Step out of the car.
So if he's under arrest, then you were lying under oath when you just said you weren't going to tow that car. How do you plan to put him under arrest and not do something with that car?
That's not what I said. I said initially they may not have towed the car.
Okay. So what was the determination you just came to right now that he's now going to be under arrest, and for what? And then what's going to happen to that car that has become his domicile? How much harm and loss are you going to put him through?
Honestly, with you on the phone, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm talking to him, okay? So here's what's going to happen. Are you going to step out of the car, yes or no? Because the next step is going to be we're going to force you out of the car. Will you get out of the car peacefully, please?
What I don't understand is...
Yes or no, are you going to get out of the car?
No, it's not yes or no, because this
is your last chance.
I just don't see how you get... It's my last chance. Because you can't understand that you're going to cause way more loss, injury, or harm to me than has been caused to anything in this situation. You're trying. This is for safety, right? You think I'm going to be more safe by being taken out of my home and having my home towed and me going to jail? Is that safer in this situation? Like logically, you were the nice guy earlier, right? You were the nice guy earlier, right? The nice, humble guy, right? Is that what a nice guy does? They take someone's home, and there's been no injured party.
Are you going to come out?
Well, is he under arrest, sir? Is he under arrest?
Looks like Chandler. Yeah, you're under arrest. Yeah. Are you going to come out?
Okay, so he's claiming that you're under arrest. Okay, so what are you being charged with? Ask him what you're being charged with, and then if he's going to put you under arrest, then I guess at that point you're going to have to address it.
Obstructing. Obstructing
what?
Out? You guys are about to cause a whole heap of loss of your harm with no one.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. We'll fight that out in court if that's how you feel. Are you coming out? Yes or no?
How did we obstruct you in order from giving? How did we obstruct you from filing the fine properly? How did he interfere?
Thanks for dropping in.
How did he interfere, obstruct you from filing the no registration ticket?
Here, last chance. What are you doing with your hand?
Did he not just say that you have no registration? How did he obstruct you from writing a registration summons?
Get him out. You're done.
There you go. Deprivation of rights under color law.
You're being super aggressive.
Sarge says. Daddy Sarge just made it up on the spot. He said, wasn't going to arrest you. Just come out of the car, not going to arrest you. This could just be a simple summons for no registration. Okay, write up the summons for registration. No, he's got to come out of the car. Why does he have to leave the safety of his car? Well, no registration. Well, he's obstructing now. That's why he has to leave the car, because I just made up obstruction when I just said he wasn't under arrest. We could just give you a simple summons for registration. So they're just lying, making things up as they go, exerting their power and will, because they feel they all have to do it, so why shouldn't we? And nothing they're saying is making any sense, and none of it is lawful. So, you know, again, at what point does everybody neglect their obligations, responsibility, accountability, and just go straight ego, not make any sense, embarrass themselves, and then potentially cause loss, injury, and harm on themselves and their fellow man, and just desecrate the law of the land, right? So they're double talking, they're spinning, they don't have the goods, they never do. And they just can't humble themselves to leave, the majority of them, and move on with their day. So they got to stick something on them. Well, what did he do? Obstruction. He didn't obstruct you from writing a no registration ticket, as you said you could purposely do, with no issues. More nonsense. More fraudulent claims. No, you're interfering and obstructing him from his freedom of movement. And you're trying to reverse the dynamic and the narrative like a narcissistic, power-hungry deceiver would do. And it doesn't fly with me or this audience or that force of creation. So what else is new? You know, the biggest bitch-ass beta male in the bunch was the decision maker. The most effeminate, mincing, lisping Poindexter was the top of the list decision maker. How ironic. All the other buff, steroided out, tough guys were right there with me, knew what the fuck I was saying was true. They don't like it, but they know it's true, and they respect me and him for it. And of course, the lisping, mincing, simping, Poindexter, beta male dweeb is going to be the one with the most ego and the most arrogance and ignorance and the least conscience and the most willing to lie in the open with thousands of people watching and do fraudulent fake charges. He wasn't obstructing anybody from doing anything. He didn't have to leave his car when you just said you weren't towing it, and it would have been a simple infraction. No one was stopping you from doing that. You just weren't humble enough to move on, write up the paperwork, and let him continue on the way he has been. So we're going to prove a point today, he thinks. You know, most likely he's going to go down to wherever. He's going to see a judge or an administrator within a day or two. He's going to show up at the court. Okay, they're gonna review all of it, and if he stands on certain things, they're gonna say either dismissed or we wish you to come back such and such a time, and then you have to go from there. You know, listen, there's nothing guaranteed in this. I've told him and everyone else that if you think you're gonna stand for rights, freedom, and principles and potentially not get arrested and not go to jail at some point, I think you're delusional, because we're already in a prison, metaphorically, metaphysically. The statute, policy, and code runs the majority of people's lives. They follow
Look
it.
at this, guys.
They harm themselves and each other to upkeep it. It's not for our best good and our safety.
Yes.
We've proven that over the last 4 years. So where do we go from now, folks? Where do we go from here? As individuals and collectively, what's the option? Go along to get along, keep serving the system and the devil, or step up, stand out, and surrender the consequences and do what's true and what's right in your conscience and your heart. You choose. Just like we all do. And go ahead, for the rest of you folks, write me up as a bad, horrible, evil person who got Brian O'Shea, who's almost twice my age, into this, and I did something bad and wrong to him and for him. He was easily misled by Paulie boys, loose cannon, sob-sit, terroristic rap. I tell you folks over and over again, I do what I do because it's true and it's right to me. I've gone to jail over and over again. I'm probably going to have to go again, knowing the probabilities and outcomes of what we've seen. So if you think that I don't live the way I live, expecting on some level to be tested and challenged, I do. If anyone else wants to walk this walk with me, expect the same. If you do the same and don't expect the same, you're a fool. Because I could argue the tests and the challenges are what makes you and gives you faith, not what you should run from and be scared of.
Leave your thoughts about this. Is it legitimate and within the realm of righteousness to lay claim to the life and property
That's
of
amazing.
another man just because it's the acceptable pattern and practice of the day? Even if the officers felt the need to write
heavy,
a
though.
citation, why is it necessary to arrest him, imprison him, and steal his vehicle? Why does a man have to leave the safety of his vehicle so an officer can write a citation in the first place? What part of any of this is rational, reasonable, and just? Leave your comments below. The link to the original video will be in the description. Subscribe, hit the bell, like, and share this video. If you want to support the channel further, grab a shirt, become a channel member, but more importantly, discern and act upon what is right in a world dominated by wrong. I'll see you in the next video.
Alright, well, that's pretty interesting. I'm working some kinks out. I think when I don't have a dual monitor, it's not letting me show a window that's underneath the program unless I hover over the icon on the bar on the bottom. Hey, Edwina. So let me just try and find this. All right.
Abandonedly fight dance this hey, on you conspiracy that joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. We are streaming live around the world for as long as Rumble can boldly impose their vision of free speech in a big tech environment that's increasingly interested in censorship. A little bit later, we'll be talking about the congressional hearing that Chris Pavlovsky has participated in. If you are an awakened wonder, by that I mean a member of our local community, you may have just joined us for a staggering conversation with Mike Benz. Mike Benz is a former state official who understands the depth of corruption, hypocrisy, corroboration, cooperation, and some might even say conspiracy that exists between the deep state, the corporate globalist world, and the bureaucratic institutions that were founded in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War. This conversation that I had with him that will be on Rumble tomorrow will arm you with facts to oppose the ignorance and oppression that we toil under almost daily. Included in the conversation are the curious funding of Burisma. Is Burisma potentially in part a CIA cutout, or at least is its legislature and undergirding connected to CIA cutouts. You're going to love this. And remember who works at Barisma. Let me know if you want to win a hat. Remember, Dan, we owe a mug to someone and we owe an orange jumper to someone in our Awaken Wonder community. If you use the code ISurrender, you become an Awaken Wonder. You get an exclusive video every week. This week it's on Operation Mockingbird. It might be up now or it might be up Sunday. We have a live book club. At the moment, we're reading Mere Christianity. And as you know, it's turned me Christian in a matter of moments, along with some other pretty extraordinary events. Yes, Hunter Biden. I just saw it in the Awaken Wonder chat. You win this hat. It's on its way to you. We have your email because you're an Awaken Wonder. Not in a weird way. Not in a weird way. You've got to join us for that conversation tomorrow. I feel a bit like the sort of, after Morpheus has just explained to Neo, well, basically, you've been living a bit of a lie, Neo. I'm paraphrasing. Nevertheless, I've just been hit with a lot of information. CIA involvement in the establishment of Google, right to the point when the founders were still in university. Oh my God, we get very close to the kill list. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about right there. Today's show, though, there's a lot to cover. We're talking about AstraZeneca, of course, because AstraZeneca have had to withdraw their product. Guess why? See if you can guess why. I might not be able to say on YouTube, which is part of Google, which is extraordinarily founded with some deep state investment. I mean, there's just so much now. There's so much. There is so much. It's absolutely staggering what's been revealed. We'll get into it, but nevertheless, you can't, even though AstraZeneca...
I'm probably going to have to kill this, actually.
It's
I'll do that from the desktop at home tonight, R&R.
Pure coincidence. Let me tell you, that's the only
I
thing
have
that
to
is pure about
use the stuff on this
AstraZeneca.
laptop
We'll be
for
covering
work.
that in some detail. We'll be talking about Bobby Kennedy's banned video.
Sorry, guys. Just over an hour, just some more testing. Yeah, me too. Later, Edwina. Have a good day, love. Peace. Everybody else, I am going to try the outro. Oh, look. Chat's working here. Is it working here? Chat box? Oh, it's turned off. That's why. There we go. Okay. Anyway.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. Got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body myself.